Okay, sounds good.
Good evening, and welcome to The Author's Corner with your host, author Kimberly McLemore, as she welcomes her guests into the studio to discuss excerpts of their book.
All right, and good evening and welcome to the Author's Corner. I am your host, author Kimberly McLemore, and thank you for tuning in tonight to the show. Tonight I have an amazing guest in store for you, but before I bring him on, just let me take a couple of minutes and tell you just a little bit more about who I am and the purpose of the show. I am the author of How to Be a Success by Just Being You. I also have the book, Are You Living or Existing? The Pros and Cons of Balancing Life. And I'm the 2019 Isla Award Author of the Year for Social Awareness for my book, Memoir, Deception of the Heart, A Real Look into Domestic Violence. I am also the CEO of the Women's Small Business Initiative, LLC, the host of the podcast show, Your Resource for Success, right here on iHeartRadio, and I'm the founder of Author Kimberly M. McLemore, LLC. The purpose of this platform is to provide my new and existing authors an opportunity to tell their story, promote their book or books, talk about any special events or speaking engagements they may have, and of course we want to know why they wrote the books and where we can get a copy of that. But let me introduce to you my special guest, Arthur Brown, author of Chase Purpose, Not Profit. Singer, songwriter, and film producer, Arthur Brown, with no experience, has started his company, Impact to Success, by speaking and telling his testimony of faith worldwide on the stages and radio reaching millions of millennials and young adults. He was able to start his own film production agency called Chase Purpose Production through his business Impact to Success. With no experience, he was able to film from his iPhone using artificial intelligence, filmmaking apps, and after doing a year of free events in his city in Raleigh, North Carolina, Arthur was able to generate over $10,000 in less than a year to jumpstart his production company using no equipment. Now his company has impacted social media with over 50,000 views and counting and over $100,000 in online sales. Today, his mission is to teach his master classes to inspire knowledge to others on how to market yourself through 7 key principles revealed in his newest book, Chase Purpose, Not Profit. Without further ado, though, help me welcome to my platform my special guest, Arthur Brown. How you doing this evening, Arthur?
What's going on? I love it. Thank you so very much for that awesome, amazing intro. It's such an honor to be on your Author's Corner. I've been waiting for this day. I've been waiting.
Well, dreams do come true, and that's my specialty. So I'm excited to have you on. Very excited to have you on. You have got a lot of things going on in your life, and you and I have known each other for a little while now, and you have done some amazing things from me and my companies, and I'm just excited to be able to return this favor back to you because you are on a mission. And, I'm just excited that the listeners are going to have an opportunity to get to know the real Arthur Brown that I know, not so much just the business person, but the individual who has been through a journey that people are going to just be gasping on when they hear your story. But before we really dive into all the questions in the book and so forth, why don't you tell the listeners just a little bit more about yourself besides what I have already talked about and have read through your bio?
Man, it's just, I think most people I get it that, I built a business, and most people, want to start a business and they want to learn and they want a degree or they want to go to school or they want to really make mama proud or somebody in their family proud. And I think for me, my thing that I really do the most is really try to focus on why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's who I really am. Like, beyond just what they see on social media, the artificial intelligence, the learning what I did, the mistakes, the stories, books, accolades, I really focus every day on why I'm here. So it's like I kind of just like to pretty much, like you said in the bio, I like to speak to people and encourage millennials. That's my target. I must get the millennials, the younger kids, their kids involved with knowing who they are. Because it's just such an important thing to me to really focus on. Like, I know bullying is one thing, but a lot of these kids in these areas just don't know who they are. Even their parents aren't teaching the kids who they are. And so my thing is just to really walk around and just focus on building up people's legacies and their stories rather really saying, hey, well, what's so unique about why you're here? You're not just here to just, survive and pay off rent or just focus on surviving and living for yourself and family. It's like you got a unique power in you. There's something unique that God's not done with or has not done yet with you, and I need you to unlock that thing because we need it, and we're going to suffer if you don't get it. And that's what I really tell people, like that's who I really am, that's what I really love, and that's my main focus when I really go out and doing what I do.
All right. Well, and you're right, and that's the thing that is unique about you and what you enjoy doing. It's like you said, it's not just about making the money, and I think you have had to learn that in so many different ways, and we'll kind of dive in that in a few minutes. But your journey of teaching others is the key. And most people who know anything about you or see you, promoting and talking when you're on Facebook and through other things, and you're doing your videos, you are very in depth and deep about the things that you share. So it's not just a journey of success. It's a journey, like you said, of living. And you talk about the living truth of who you are and what you have dealt with. So let's kind of dive into some of that now. You have gone through a lot. If people paid attention to the flyers that we have been promoting, there's a picture on that cover of your book that says volumes. So why don't you talk to the listeners about the bars on that book? Because that's what stands out to me. Tell us your journey and how you got to where you're at and how your business, before you started your businesses.
I had to, the name of the book is called Chase Purpose, Not Profit, and I have to now understand why. It's not so much a spiritual thing, or it's not so much a trying to find God thing or trying to figure out who you are. It's a more so thing like I had to leave my old life to get to this new life. I chased nothing but money. Even when I wasn't a boss, even when I was on a job, I would work 3 jobs. I would try my best to cut grass and get money. I was stealing back in the day from the stores, shoplifting. I was always trying to get ahead. I was no one important at all, 0, none. And I did not notice that after I had gotten so much trouble, mugshot 2015, November 23rd, 2015, I had gotten in trouble for stealing money, and that moment changed my whole life. And I don't understand what else to tell someone, but you can change your life in one day. And that sounds so unbelievable to somebody, but you guys see what you see on the books and the flyers, but no one understands that it's going to be your inner mindset, that something switched. And I think I had a realization wake in a moment. The reason why I chased purpose and not profit is because all I did was chase profit, and I never won. No, not even my mother, not even church, not school or society. No one told me about purpose. No one. It was a hidden thing. Mm-hmm. You don't hear about it till you get into a spiritual environment or you're hearing about someone seeking something. But no one said, why are you here? Why did God design you? Why did he know you, Jeremiah 1:5, in your mother's womb? What did he know so uniquely about you? And when I realized, okay, so God, what do you want me to do? He said, you've tried military. You've tried college. You've tried network marketing. You've tried to build your own thing in lane. You failed at every area of your life that normal people are chasing every day. But you have not accomplished this one area in your life. And that was wondering who I called you to be and what your purpose is on life. That's the only thing. So for me, it's just like when I got in trouble, I had to understand that everybody listening needs an encounter. And my encounter was running in, and I stole $14,000, and I had woke up in my reality of saying, look at what I did to myself. Look at what I put me here on. And since I did this, now my responsibility is not to worry about the mugshot, not to worry about what the naysayers are saying, not to worry about the people stopping me in malls and Target and Walmart like they did, telling me about, man, I see you on Twitter and comments. It wasn't to worry about what they said. It was to change what I was going to do in my image. So my image was tarnished by everyone around because what they saw. But I had to change them and show them what God could do. So God made me switch and say, oh, it's on purpose and not my image. He embarrassed me on purpose so he can get my ego and pride out the way because I was so high-minded on just always wanting more. All I wanted was more. If you talk to any person listening, all they want is more prosperity, finances, more things in their business, more everything. And so it's like we can't get to more unless we either, one, wait on it with patience, or we do something that's stupid that gets us caught in a moment that gets us so shocked that we say we will never do that again. And I've learned from that, and that's where I'm at right now. That's where we're building. That's where all the commotion is right now. People waiting on that book. So that right there is the main thing I want people to take is this encounter. What's your encounter? What is that thing that happened that you said, man, I know this was God. I know I should never do this again. I know I'll never do this again or that again. That mistake, that encounter, that is the main thing we must focus on, and we hide from. Our parents teach us this. Our family teaches this. Hide and tuck and just do these things. But I want people to focus on uncovering these things and unveiling what actually happened so that you can walk in spirit and in truth, so that you can one day eventually be on this level where you're really working for God for absolutely free. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, he's paying everything for you. He's working your ways. He's moving you things. He's giving you things, a business, things out of nowhere that we're building and we're doing, and all this came out of nowhere. And I never was any of this that people see me as a speaker, a filmmaker, an author, all these things. I was none of these things until I ran into God in that encounter. But I have to teach this to people about, you got to understand how to walk with him. Most people don't know how to do this. And they think that encounter was an embarrassment or something that wasn't supposed to happen to them, or maybe God was making a mistake. And we have to teach them that, no, that's the blessing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But so that's what happened with me.
Right. And you know, your story of, you know, taking money from the company that you work for. And, you know, we all get it. And we all understand that when you're not even so much when you're young, we live in a world and society that tells you money is everything. Right. And that it's beyond, it's about survival. And in that moment when you decided to take that money, what were you trying to survive about? What was your thought process, knowing you know you're intelligent enough to know that was definitely not the right thing to do, but what made you decide that was the most important thing to do at that moment in your life?
Crazy thing is, it didn't feel like anything. It was a normal day for me. I felt like I needed more. I didn't like what I was given. Average is too average. No one likes to be working a job, J-O-B, just over broke. Nobody likes to just keep scraping their bills, paying their bills, and just getting over. So I thought to myself, well, let me find a faster lane. And I didn't never think to go to purpose and sit back and find out what I'm good at. I thought maybe I can get the quick way in, and let me go ahead and pocket some money, sell the clothes to the retail people and delete the orders on the screen and act like I wrote it in and act like I rang them in. And do you want a receipt? And if they ever told me, no, they don't want a receipt, I just said, great, I'll email it to you, and I faked it and deleted orders, and I was pocketing so much money under my sleeves and in my pockets for like at least 2 months, and I didn't know that, you know, I was just, and I literally never thought one day that I did anything wrong. Like, I didn't see this as bad. And in fact, I never even saw it all the way down until I was investigated for, I guess, 2 weeks on cameras from, I think, 17 different cameras. And I didn't even realize, even then, I didn't even realize I was in trouble. Like, it was so blind to me because we're so, like, focused on money today. That's all we know is how to get the bag, how to secure the bag, how to do what we got to do to get this money, right? And so I didn't even realize how deep I was into some trouble because I'm so drawn in on money that I couldn't even focus. So I'm sitting here being investigated by the, the loss prevention guy, and I'm thinking they told me, and they even tricked me with that and said this is just a regular interview. This is just a regular interview, just to sit back. Everybody's doing it. Your turn is just next. I didn't even think nothing of it. In fact, when they called me to the back, I told my man, hold on, give me a minute. Let me finish with my customer, and I'll get with y'all in a second. And they said, absolutely. It was so chill. I didn't even know. But look at me being so lost in profit that I didn't even know I was walking into a disaster that was going to change the rest of my absolute life forever. I never knew. So it was amazing how the encounter happened, but it was just like I thought that I was just doing me a favor. Maybe God needs help. Maybe I can help him.
Well, let me ask you though, did you not feel or see any signs, anything that kept telling you, you know what you're doing is wrong? Why do you keep doing this? Because we all know it's like that first thrill, you get that first thrill and it feels good in the beginning, and you keep doing it, but there gets to a point where sometimes you really know it's time to quit what you're doing. But did you ever feel that way before? Like you said, you weren't thinking about somebody catching you, but did you ever have any inkling that you had to take a step back and look at yourself saying, I need to stop doing what I'm doing?
No, zero.
Wow.
Zero. Like, that's how I know I'm God. Like, I'm not even who I used to be. Zero. I don't even think the same. I don't even know how I even ended up there. That is why my mother asked me to this day, what were you thinking? That's why chapter 3 is called What in the Hell Was I Thinking? And that describes everything we're talking about today in the book, but it's just like I broke it down in chapters in What in the Hell Was I Thinking, because even to this day, I still don't know what I was thinking. I can't explain it. I don't know what made me start with a $20 fishing license that someone gave me cash and walked away and said, I don't need a receipt. I didn't even get to ring you in, and you're already halfway out the door. And I figured, well, shoot. Well, let me not even ring it in, not even say nothing about it. So at moments, the devil said, well, there's money. That's how I got him. It's so easy to distract him from God's purpose. And I had nothing. I was already in school. I had already lived on my own. I had already had another good job. I was already making good money. I had no reason to steal. And that's how I know God was calling me to this path. And that's why I think I was blind. Because if God would have known, I would have attached on to, no, I think I'm being watched, I'm being this, I'm being that. And I would have been, I was smart in his plan. He needed me to blow up. He needed me to get caught. He needed me to get set up. He needed it.
Right. Because the reality,
no way I could.
Right. Because the reality is, it all boils down to really one thing: greed, and the wants and the needs that you don't really need. You know, and I think we all go through that in our own minds, what we think we need. And so, like you said, you had plenty of jobs. You were in school. You really had everything you needed. But then sometimes that greed, you know, that greed runs right through everybody, and it took you to a whole different level. But when they caught you and they told you that you were going to get how many years in prison?
Oh God, they told me. They didn't even tell me. They told me I wasn't even in trouble. Like, I thought. Matter of fact, when he said on the 20-minute interview, after joking around and talking about Kobe Bryant, ironically, you know, rest in peace, but it's like we were talking about Kobe Bryant and how I'm the old school him and how I like to get money, and I was just being my normal self to the guy who's interviewing me for something bigger than what I thought. And I had spilled all my beans about what I do for a living and what I'm doing and what I'm building and how I'm trying to get out here in life, right? And when they told me that Mr. Brown on record, we have everything we needed, I fell into a sunken place. Like, I felt like a vegetable. I can hear him, but I can see his mouth moving, just can't hear no sound coming out. When he said that this stack of papers that you think is here for interviews is actually you, and you're responsible for $14,000, responsible for this company that's worth $1.6 billion, you are in absolute trouble. And I have 3 officers that are about to walk in right now as we speak. I was just in a loss. That when they walked in blue and told me to stand up and turn around, and they read me my rights, and they emptied my pockets, I didn't even think this was real, because even in the interview, even on the register, even walking in like with my name badge and all, like, hey, and waving people down, I never knew. I didn't even know. Like, I saw more people there than average that were working outside the company there, and I thought they were working on maintenance. This is sporting goods. We got everything going, and I had really messed up. And this is what changed my whole life. I'm sitting in a police car I'm getting walked out with employees that idolized me, that really respected and valued me. I can never forget a person named Kristen Space who literally looked at me like, I wish this wasn't you, bro. And then another girl named Abby, or whoever was a new manager who I just trained to learn how to run the front, saw me get walked out, and it was me. I was the guy who everybody saw as encouragement online. I was the guy that everybody watched online. And so for me to tarnish my image like this, and I did this, I was silent. I didn't want to be the big man no more. I didn't want to be the guy with the money no more. I didn't want to be the guy that was seen no more. I didn't want to be the business guy who had everything no more. I didn't want to have my image out there where I wore all the best stuff and was out and everywhere and doing all the big things, moving out here with all this profit. I wanted to focus on purpose, on my image, on focusing on what God can clean up in me. So that big drop, driving 40 minutes to jail in the backseat of a truck for 40 minutes, looking at myself, saying how I'm going to tell my mama, how I'm going to tell this my family. My mugshot is already viral on Twitter and Instagram, and people who I know or love already see the news. And so I didn't know how to escape myself publicly or am got to be faced with the decision of, are you going to keep the old you and be keeping your old way, or are you going to pick up yourself, deny yourself, pick up your cross, really take on your ownership of what you did and walk in spirit and in truth? Yes, it happened, but God is going to do more in my life. Yes, it happened, but I knew that I had to take the encounter. That was the only way I was going to actually get to this. That encounter had to happen. That me being exposed for my dark deeds, because men's deeds are evil. And we love the lights off because we like to do things at night. That's why he said, let there be light. Let me cut on in your life what you like to hide. You're walking around like you're a real boss. You're walking around posting like you're really something you're not. And so he had to cut my image on and publicly and privately expose me so that then I could see the real me and start walking in what I authentically was good at.
Right, because what was happening was that you were looking in the mirror, but you really didn't know who you were looking at until I think that moment that, like you said, that 40-minute drive going to the jailhouse. I can't even fathom what you were experiencing, but I'm sure you were terrified that your life literally could have been over in an instant, in a second per se. And in some degree it was, because then you had to start another new life. But before we go on to the next question, I wanted to say for people, if you're just tuning in, you've missed out. The last 20 minutes have been phenomenal information with my guest author, Brown, that, we're talking about how he got to get to the book that we will be talking furthermore about on Chase Purpose, Not Profit. So I want to ask you a few more things in reference to what happened once you got, you got to the jailhouse. Like you said, everybody seeing you, people who respected you and cared about you are now in awe because they're thinking, this cannot be the young man that I know, that that totally has a perfect life. And then all of a sudden one day, here you are, the criminal, so to speak. I hate to say the harsh word, but the reality is that's what you were. And then you had to take a step back. How long did it take, or did you actually spend any time in jail or in prison before you could actually come out here and restart your life? And we'll talk a little bit about that.
I actually would love to, and I'm going to actually go live for this part. I would love to, and I would actually like to give a little bit of detail on what happened when I stole money. Let's say that. All right, so let's go live without it. I love the question. And I think this will be so much better for people to understand.
Okay.
That way I can talk about it here. So I'm going to introduce you, Kimberly. So you guys, I'm doing an interview right now with iHeartRadio with Kimberly McLemore. I'm on the Author's Corner, and I'm super excited. We are 35 minutes into this interview, and she just asked me a very, very, very phenomenal question. She asked pretty much the encounter of what happened. Now you are the criminal. Now you are the person that is out here in the world trying to build business, and everyone knows that you stole. Everyone now sees your mugshot viral on Twitter and Instagram, and they're talking about your story. They're talking about the $14,000 you called the company that you previously worked at. And so now here I am having to answer the next question of, well, what was your experience like when you went downtown? 40 minutes drive all the way downtown, and everyone was watching you. Everyone's now talking. Well, you didn't know what to tell your mother. You didn't have any idea what to tell your family. And I love this question because this experience right here for your question is just beyond this is what that, like the encounter we talked about for the first 30 minutes about me getting caught, me getting in trouble, me, all that other stuff. That was nothing.
Right.
Now,
Now the real stuff is coming. So tell the listeners and your followers the real deal about being behind bars.
Well, see, the real deal for me was I was so blessed, unfortunately, that I didn't even get to see no daylight in prison. I stole $14,000 and got charged with embezzlement. And then 6 months before I got charged with embezzlement, they told me that you cannot be here because if you get in trouble 6 months ago, they had already got me for, I think, a drug charge for anything less than an ounce. And so they already told me you got to come to court in 6 months from now. Do not get in any more trouble but a ticket, maybe a speeding ticket. And they told me that you would be in absolute trouble. And here I am 3 or 4 months later charged with an embezzlement charge. So I was so beyond scared for myself because not only did I already have a case pending, but then I already got this brand new one, and that they said not to get in any trouble. So in my mind, they had already told me on my way when I walked in, as I'm taking my shoes off and I'm taking my stuff off, they had already told me, they said, hey, look, you're going to already be doing at least 39 months. That's at least 3 years. That's what they're telling me while I'm getting undressed,
Right.
while I'm taking my shoes off, while I'm getting up here signing these paperwork. And I'm sitting here scared of my mom because I had already knew that I made a mistake and I didn't tell no one about it. And so I'm scared. I walk in, my man, I see guys over here fighting. I see someone banging their head over here, over there, on this jail cell, blood over there on this man's face, and people fighting over here. And my man put me over here in this little corner by this little bench. It was so embarrassing for me. I remember walking in, and I remember seeing one dude, everybody was there, a couple brothers was like, hey, man, what you do? What you up in here for? And I was just like, man, I got charged with embezzlement. They was like all at the same time in unison, dang, that was you? And I'm like kind of figuring out what they mean by dang, that was you, because everybody had already saw about it, and I had no idea. And so I'm sitting there shaking, and I'm a little nervous, and I'm a little lost, but I'm still focusing. And I seen somebody walk in with straight blood on their shirt, and they sat right next to me. And then the guards and all of them came right in and picked him right on up in like 2 seconds and said, now come here and go into the other room. We can't have him in this room. And when they said this, I was just looking around, and I'm still cuffed. They said I got a call to make, 2 of them I could make. And I wrote Amanda and my mama's number down. And, of course, when I got on the phone with my mother, I couldn't get in touch. I think Amanda was nervous. Mm-hmm. I called her out at random, and she answered the phone, but then again she hung up, and then she answered again, and then she just told me, I can't come and leave my house physically. I'm home. I've got to come down where, and you did what? And so, of course, I called my mother, and I remember calling my mother because I called her like 3 times, and boy, was I nervous. And if she didn't come and get me, I knew that they told me that I had to stay there, and it was $3,000 for my bail. Wow. So if I didn't have my mother's grace to go and look and help me out and go fill out all this paperwork, find me a bail bondsman, found a 70% off with the thing that came out, the $300 instead of $3,000 to get me out that night, came and still, and by the grace of God came and pulled up. That might have been the happiest moment in my absolute life for years, ever seeing my mother. And I know she wasn't proud of me at the moment. Mm-hmm. No mother in this moment wants to come get their child. No mother wants to come and do this thing right here. But for her to do this for me was such a grace for me because I needed this in this moment. And so I just needed, because I knew that I had messed up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And this wasn't even the real shocker. The real shocker was after I go to court and they say you're facing 39 months in prison for an embezzlement, and they tell me everything that I got to get ready for and how I'm in trouble and what I got to do and all the this is what the lawyer, that court-appointed lawyer, is telling me. So this is how I know I'm tripping. But for me to have this much grace from God, so not only did I go the next morning and they take my, embezzlement charge down from a felony down to a misdemeanor for larceny, as if I didn't steal $14,000, as if I only stole like $14. Mm-hmm. And then they told me that the 300, it was like almost 250 to 300 hours in community service that I would have had to owe to the state. They had brought it all the way down to 25 hours. And then he told me that the $14,000 we would have made you owe back, we're going to make you pay like $3,200 back and just pay us $206 a month. And they were just telling me all of this good stuff. In my mind was great news. And the only thing that they told me was that you were going to have to prove yourself. You're not going to have a job. You're not going to be able to work for no one. No one's going to want to hire no one. Would have you been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor, and you get to talk about a criminal record, and you check yes, and I stole money over here at the old job, but I'm not that person no more. I know the Lord. I'm on my way. No one wants to hear that celebration you.
That's
because
right.
They're trying to protect themselves and come to their position. So I knew that this is the moment I had to become more astute with God. Who can I be then, God? I can't work a job. I can't go to the military like this brother, or go to this college like this other sister, or be like the other person who's got a good job because they don't have a criminal record. And if I can't fit in with the world, and I can't make mama happy or make family happy or do what I got to do to make my girl happy and be the man you want me to be, what can I do? What can I be? God said, hire yourself. Hire yourself. And so what I realized in this whole, like even in my book and with the master classes talking about the master classes coming with that come with the book, I recommend everyone to read it. It's such a great read. It was 121 pages. I think page 1 through 40, you're going to get through chapter 6 through 1 through 40, and you're going to already read what? Childhood pains, Dear Mama, My Superhero, What the Hell Was I Thinking, God versus Gun, and a new song. By the time you get to a new song, you're going to be so encouraged by what I've been through, the things I saw God save me through and encourage me through, that you're going to lose your absolute mind, because this is where I had to learn the encounter, where you got to hear his voice and walk with him. You don't got a job. You can't get a record. You got a criminal record. You can't go back to school. You got to pay for that. You've already, credit gone. They repossessed your car. You work here. This is where I had to prove myself.
And I want you to hold your thoughts.
It was hard for me.
Right. Hold your thoughts on that, because we are going to dig even deeper and get more involved in the book in the second part of the show. But before we go into the commercial break, I want to ask you a couple of questions about what you just said that stood out to me. Was the fact that here it is that you're in the courtroom, they're telling you all these things, basically a lot of it is a scare tactic. But the thing that stood out is because you are a young black man, and we know that, every day our men are being put in incarceration. They're not always so lucky, to be able to walk out with a misdemeanor or any charges, period, for what you've done, and especially for what you've done. I mean, there's a lot of people we know can get away with the embezzlement and can move on with their life, and everything is perfectly fine. They can go out here and start another business, whatever they want to do, get another job. Yeah. But for you to be able to hear, the things you did to yourself, you did it to yourself, and it's changed your life forever. But at the same token, you were so beyond fortunate that these people looked at you enough to say, he doesn't deserve this, but you are definitely going to get this, when it came down to the embezzlement charge being a misdemeanor. But it could have definitely turned out to be 10 times worse. And then if you hadn't spent any time behind bars for a period of time, being able to come back out or even starting a business would have been somewhat difficult. So, you've gone on this journey that you've had to deal with, and we know that it didn't just pop up. Things just didn't pop up and be perfect after. So we'll talk about that and the book after we go to break. So that's what we're going to do so that way it gives time for those who have missed out on the first 30 minutes of the show. You need to tune in to the Author's Corner and continue to listen to the second portion of the show. We are on iHeartRadio. We are on Spreaker. We are on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Google Podcasts. There's no reason why you can be missing this show. So give us 2 minutes. We will be back from the break, and we're going into the second half of talking with my special guest author, Arthur Brown, and we'll be diving into the book Chase Purpose, Not Profit. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Welcome back to the Author's Corner with your host, author Kimberly McLemore.
All right, you guys, we are back for the second half of this amazing show. It's a special edition show, and here on the Author's Corner, I have my special guest, Arthur Brown, who is the author of Chase Purpose, Not Profit. And like I said, before we went on to break, we have been talking about Arthur's personal life and how he ended up having to lose his position and all the things that he's gone through after being embezzling $14,000 from the company that he worked for. So now we're going to move on to talk about the journey after being in the courtroom. They tell you, you've embezzled. We got it down to being a misdemeanor, but now the real journey is about to really begin, because as you stated earlier before we went to break, that you now had to focus on the fact that I can't get a job. I can't really go back to school because I can't afford it, because you have no real income. So now you're in the process of now what am I going to do? And then that's when you said that God told you that you're going to have to take care of yourself and start a business. So let's talk about that business.
Mm-hmm. So he said that because you can't work for no one, because you cannot clock in, you got to figure out how to fund yourself. And I was looking for God to give me a job or a position or a title or accolade or something. He told me to grab my iPhone and that you're going to start becoming a filmmaker. From your iPhone that's cracked, that's an iPhone 6 that when I literally swiped on it, my fingers bled. When I would use it for anything, swipe for anything, and a broken selfie stick that I never even knew was going to be like, I thought it was a selfie stick, but now I started using it for filming to start filming engagements. And he said, you're going to take your little cracked phone and your little duct tape selfie stick, and you're going to go out to events, speaking, weddings, conferences, baby showers, parties, and all these things, and you're going to practice for a whole entire year. Charge no one for a whole year for free, just to practice. Mm-hmm. And as I practiced, I got good at filming for people, editing for people, showing off of what the recaps was and helping folks out, that it got so out of control that by the time I was really ready to really nurse, give this thing fully to God, for him to take me out of corporate America, he had me, building this thing and practicing this thing. And yes, I had a little penny engine job that I'm sure most people know about, me leaving my corporate America job, hugging my boss. But it's before I talk about that part, it's just getting into the mindset of having to work while working is the whole thing. You have to work and know how to build something while working. You must know how to be good at doing two things at the same exact time. You have to if you're going to be able to really be focused and stellar to building your brand, especially when you're walking with God.
Right. But let me ask you, though, you went through a whole year of doing everything for free, but how did you get people to retrust you and just trust you, period? Because your face was plastered all over the news, all over, social media. People knew who you were. How did you get people to believe in what your desires were and what you needed to do in order to take care of yourself? And you like I said, you did this for free. That's one thing, but but for people to stand there and say, okay, you know what? I trust you. I'm gonna let you do this. How did they receive all the things that you were talking about for you to be able to do this?
This was cool because I talked about it in The Gift of Failure. That's another one of my chapters. I'm not sure which chapter, but it's called The Gift of Failure. I understood that it was a gift that I failed. I understood that it was a gift that I had to try myself, rebuild my image. That's what I wanted to do. All people knew was the embezzlement. All people knew was what I did. All people knew was what I was. But they defined me by my situation and not who God called me to be. See, in that moment, I had to focus on me. I had to build. So I was doing everything for free, and I was giving excellent and above and beyond better service than I could ever offer, because I want to give excellence and quality to show people I'm not who I used to be. And I want people to understand that, look, I talked about Oprah getting fired from her show. They said she's not good at that, show casting and hosting thing. Now she's one of the richest women, as we know, and has her own Oprah Winfrey show. And we all know how that went, though. Michael Jordan got replaced by somebody on his basketball team. And then coach told him he wasn't no good at basketball until the very day as we breathe. Still 6 rings and nobody else has beat him yet. So it's I had to look back at failures okay, mugshot. Okay, gotta drop out. Okay, can't get a job. Okay, gotta bounce back. And how do I get my big moment? You know what I'm saying? How do I step back from my trials and step into this thing? And my phone and my business was my backup, was my moment. God said, if you can stay content with a few things, I'll make you rule over many. So I had to really stay content with the little things from filming it, helping people. And over the time, people were just referring this young boy, this young man, this guy. And at first it was Arthur Brown Productions, and God was like, no, I want to Chase Purpose Productions, because people are only going to bring you their purpose. They're only going to bring you the things that they're working with me. And since you work for me, they're going to know it. You're going to, I mean, literally, I get on the phone with everyone who's talking about what they're talking about with God and what they're building, but they have no void on how to do this marketing thing, website thing, promo thing. And I was that perfect niche right in time for the artificial intelligence. Learned it from my iPhone and the app, so I didn't need equipment. I didn't need a camera or video or systems or computers or any software, none of that. All I needed was an app to artificial intelligence on how to take care of a person. A person's brain that didn't have nothing to do with me, didn't put my logo on none of their stuff. He taught me how to market people and take care of them, serve, and they will serve you. That's all I knew. So I knew that this was going to work, but boy, did I know right when I was working a job, and he was telling me, okay, you're making just enough of this part-time job, and he gets me fired from one part-time job, and I'm making just enough. But what do you do when you got a main job and the part-time gets replaced by the job, little business stuff that you're stuck hot side hustling with? But you can't replace the main job yet because that's your chunk of money. But when he gets you off of that, that's when you got to fly. That's when I knew I could fly. That's what tested me. They fired me the day I was at an entrepreneur event, and I released my first topic that I was going to release the opening of my business, and I launched it. And that event was the event that got me started in my business, and they fired me that moment. And I went live on Facebook and talked about how I will never, ever in my life clock in for another man or woman to give them that much power over my time and over my destiny again. And when I hugged literally 7 employees and talked to 3 different managers, and I told them that I would do this in God's name with Chase Purpose Production, people saw me online and saw that. So in the beginning, I literally had to stay faithful to this. It was not working. Everybody thought I was joking. I lied to people and said I have producers. When they looked at their videos, oh my God, I love it. I was like, yeah, my producers took care of you. They're awesome. And it was just me from a phone. I was insecure. Right. I didn't think that it would really work. I thought people were downplaying me, like, you're just going to come to my event with a phone and then you're going to do what? And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, that, and third. And people I didn't know that, I had really a gift. And then it started to out-budget what I knew. And then all of a sudden, at first it worked its way on up after a while.
Right. And it makes sense because, I hear people even today say, well, why are you using a phone? Well, you don't have to use the equipment that you used to have to use back in the day, which wasn't that long ago, so to speak. But, right. To be able to be that talented and realize that you could do something, with a phone, because, for most of us, a phone is a phone. We take our little pictures or whatever, and their little selfies and group pictures, but it's not the same. And I definitely have seen you in action utilizing that phone as if it was this large camera system that, most people that we would see. So you definitely have your talent, and you definitely realize it quickly, which was good because, like you said, you were getting fired again from another job, and you still had to make a living, but you needed to go above and beyond just making the living. So now let's dive into the book. I wanted you to talk about, pick a chapter that you want everybody to learn more about you, or to have a better understanding of what it is that you consider more of your purpose that you had to chase, and that guided you to where you are today. Talk a little bit about that for us.
Well, absolutely. So first, I'm just going to hint at success from an iPhone. That's going to be such a good chapter. Like I said, it's beyond just the things that I know y'all know that's riveting, the money and things that I went down for, and you're going to love. Your stomach is going to be in knots on God versus gun, which I didn't want to bring up at all during this whole interview. Almost died in my car 36 hours after I left the courtroom. Got set up in my car by my best friends, and they almost killed me. And I had to make it through that, and you guys are going to love that chapter. But I can't talk about that chapter because I'm only going to keep it on the embezzlement and on what God did with me, so y'all can keep on pressing for this book. So you said pick a chapter. I want you guys to definitely take a look at success on an iPhone. That thing, that's what you saw me in action on, and I bless you with that. But my one that I wanted to focus on that you said, like, to just give them my purpose and what I'm about, is I think I have one that's called Heaven on Earth. I want people to really, really understand that you got a story too, and I know it's crazy. And if we were to sit there and write it up and mic you up and make a movie promo about what's to come soon about your life, we would see a whole lot. So I want you to live in heaven on earth with that story. And that's what I really want people. I think it's my last chapter. It's my last chapter of my book. It's the last masterclass out of all 7 of them that I have. you versus the job, and then you versus your mindset, then job action versus scared mode, invoice versus paycheck, and then all the way to heaven on earth on my masterclass. It's so serious. And even on my chapter of my book, Heaven on Earth. Y'all, are you getting what God told you on earth that he said you could have? Are you sure you haven't missed the mark, or you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing for a while, or you're hiding something, or you didn't say something about something in your life, and you might just possibly just be living short of the glory that you're supposed to have heaven on earth now? And so I'm driving people to my story, and I'm driving you this riveting so that you can listen to my music, wear my gear, listen to my sermons, listen to my podcast, buy my books, buy my mascots, get it all in boom. Entrepreneur, service this, service that. I'm becoming whatever you need me to be so that you can understand that Jesus Christ is Lord. You might not be living your best life. That's why I took your website and flipped it. That's why I took your book and flipped it. That's why I took your artwork and flipped it. That's why I took your image and flipped it. I need you to come forth. And people are so nervous. What I've learned. Mm-hmm. And so I need you living heaven on earth. Nothing is too much for you. You don't always not to tell yourself no, or the kids no, or that you always can't have. You don't have to stay there. And I think you're bound by what happened. And I think if you just talk about it, we could just talk about it. And so I'm driving people to that. This chapter is so amazing because it's just teaching you like I talk about it. Inspire others. That's it. Why are you here? God only needed you for one thing. We all, me, you, and Kimberly, all of us have the same job. Tell the world that I'm Jesus Christ is Lord. How can you do that? Oh, okay, well, I'm going to pick up a bunch of authors, and I'm going to tell them on the Author's Corner. I'm going to have a few radio shows. I'm going to come out there and tell them all their stories. I'm going to mic them up. I'm going to have them on a black platform. I'm going to promote what they're talking about. That's what purpose people do for other people who are telling God's story in their stories. Like, people don't know their lane. They don't have a lane to keep on being loyal to and faithful to. They don't have that. They're waiting on God. And the reality is God is waiting on you to say something or do something. And so I'm so stuck on heaven on earth that I want you to chase your purpose. And it is, and the blueprint was that you had to get away from your profit to have heaven on earth. So if you would chase purpose and not profit, not money, you would have heaven on earth, because all you would have is God. Because every time you look at your ultimatum, we always have money to back us up, or something in profits that will take care of what we need if God isn't going to do it. But my God from heaven, if he was your boss, if he was your job, if he was your destiny, if he was your provider, if he was your every morning person that you woke up to as a boss, and he was your provider, this thing that I'm living is crazy. It's a dream. And if I told you what he was getting ready to do, what's to come in March and this summer, and oh my God, we'd be here another hour, another 59 minutes. I'm serious. And I want people to get out of this whole interview, just sit in the dark, ask God, what am I good at? What is my talent? What did somebody say that I'm good at? What would I do for free? Oh, I would do this. I would sing. I would write. I would paint. Well, then do that. But don't tell me you can't, because this job and this baby and this time and this and this husband. I don't want to hear none of that. That's so unfair to you to not live out what God has in your talent. Yes, it's an iPhone, but that thing spoke 50,000 words for a book. That thing profit over $100,000 in sales. That one little thing in my hand has helped over hundreds of people, thousands of promos, thousands. They're blessed. I can't even stop the blessings that this one thing, Moses, what's in your hand? Then stretch that staff and watch the Red Sea part ways, and watch your things and your problems and your backgrounds and the departments that people want to book you and be around you. It's so much grace that if you just hold what's in your hand and stretch that thing forth, and don't run from it because it turned into a snake, Moses, but pick that thing up again and stretch that thing. I was nervous and lied about it, having producers, and it turned into a snake, and I don't know, it's maybe too big, or maybe I can't, and I did run from it. But then I had to pick that thing up. And I'm so blessed that today I picked that thing up, because it's been almost 3.5, almost 4 years, and I ain't punched the clock. So you must pick that thing up. It's important that you do. Forget a book, forget masterclass, forget an image or a product. You must, for yourself, tell your story and know that God got you after you're done with it. That's what I'm doing. That's why I built it, and it took 3 years. I had to build a nuclear bomb for somebody to get it, somebody's children to get it, somebody's guests, the clients, entrepreneurs, wife, kids. I need everyone to understand. Forget being famous and wearing someone else's name. Wear your own name. Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm at right now. And I'm so excited for what's to come, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, and you're right. I liked what you were saying, that it's about picking up and moving, asking and sharing your story. It's not always about trying to have, everything up front, oh, I got to market this. I got to, like I said, market your own name. Quit worrying about what everybody else is doing and do you.
Exactly.
And that is the honest truth. And I think it's a lot of what people have to learn, whether they're coming into business, whether they're writing a book, whatever it is that they have talent for. And that's the thing, is that people, like I said, don't really know what their talent is. They have them, but they really don't know what the purpose is of how to utilize those talents. And until they can sit still long enough to say, this is what I need to be doing, and allow God to continue to give them the path that's already set for them. And that's the thing that's amazing about your story. You took yourself off of that path, and you had to hit rock bottom in order for God to make you see He had already had it there for you. But you were so busy trying to get there quickly that, as we all know, we think we in control. And, you thought doing it your way was the better way, but you've had to learn that was not the better way. And now here you are, like you said, 4 years later, you're doing better than you did when you were working for somebody else. So your story is phenomenal in a way that, because you understand who you are. And I think that's the most important part. It doesn't matter what anybody else may be thinking as we're sitting here having this conversation. Your journey is still growing. And the thing that I love is that you're actually trusting that journey, even with the fear, because we all still have fear. When you grow, you're going to fear, because it's just a part of who we are. And if you didn't have that fear, I would think something was wrong with you, because that's just the nature of the beast of who we are as human beings. But knowing that you're trusting that journey is the good part about it, and how you're willing to also share that journey and give people the tools and resources that they need in order to be successful. That's the blessing, truly coming full circle for you. And for many others that are learning to know you and have already been around you and understand your purpose. Because like I said, I've definitely been blessed and have had the opportunity to work with you and continue to do work with you. So it's just been an eye-opening thing for me. And I continue to watch you constantly grow and reach out for those people in the right manner, versus it, like you said, just being about the money. It's about really teaching other people how to build themselves so they can be as successful in their own right and purpose.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I want. I want people to understand that if you can just get there, you would be so happy. That's why the old church said, when I look back over my life, and they breaking out in worship, because you got to remember where He brought you from and what He did in that moment. Y'all, this whole book is all about a second chance. That's all it is. When you're reading it from page, when you learn about my molestation and childhood pains, when you learn about my mama almost dying on the couch of meningitis, when you get to what the heck was I thinking when I sold the $14,000, when you get to God versus gun, when He finally sealed the deal of matter of fact, your mind, and I'm going to save you not from just your mess, but from death. And then you get to a new song, you are in for a very, very good read, I'm telling you. And you're going to learn about a second chance. And you're going to look at your second chance saying, God, why am I not using all my limits for my second chance? Why did I let this thing defy me, or let them defy me by telling me it over again what I did? I didn't let no application check me. I sure did. I explained my point, but I would walk out if you're happy if you haven't made me so any less, because I knew I was God. I wasn't here going to be here. I wasn't going to stay on this level long. So I'm just so blessed to now be an example for the kids, example for the young adults, example for the older generation. That's why I love working with my older generation. That's the gap right there. I don't do anyone on the contract in their 30s or 20s. I say that all the time. I want everyone 40 and 50 and up. I don't want anybody in my organization yet. I don't think it'll ever happen. Not even for me or for my interns or for my staff or what I build. I just want, because it's a gap. We need to help that generation that's already there. Some of them are already there. They just need X, Y, and Z to get there. And they don't need a whole production company and a whole agency to come back them up. Like you said, when you look at that phone, you just see a phone take your selfie. When Arthur Brown looks at it, he sees an agency. So he looks at a phone so differently. So what I did with my gift was get around behind people who already were kind of there and gave them that agency look, like as if they paid thousands for a production company for themselves. And it was so cool that God threw me into artificial intelligence. I didn't know nothing about it until he started teaching me this. And I didn't know nothing about it. Never asked my mama for a camera. Never said I was going to be one day a videographer. I was just in a military uniform. And I was just over here working for corporate America. I was just in a network marketing company, gave all my money back. I didn't even ever know I was going to be this thing that people see today. And I'm so blessed that I stuck with it. And I was faithful for over a few things. And now I definitely can see he's made me ruler over so many things that he trusts me with and people he trusts me with. So that's the honor.
All right. Well, like I said, it's just been an amazing journey for you. And you still have a long way to go to continue to grow and to continue to, help others see their purpose and have them live their dreams in the way they should. Like we talk about, it's not about just living and just existing. It's really truly about living the life that you deserve to live. But what I want to do, we have about 5 minutes left in the show, and I want you to please tell everybody, what you have coming out next and how we can get a hold of you. And of course, when is that book coming out? So we can definitely make sure we all get copies of it.
Finally, I know. So listen, definitely March 17th is my birthday. We are going to definitely celebrate hard for that. My ebook will be available on my website right there for you guys to purchase right there first, front and center page. And I also would love for my print to be there. So I'm going to work very hard, and I would be my honor to give you guys that. But I at least have a date where you can at least, I know most people just like to read from their phones, like I do my Bible app and other things for my intercession. So I know this will be an easy read. It'll be right there. It'll be crazy and riveting. It's colors, and it's a lot more better in context if you do get the ebook. But either way, I'm so honored for that March 17th of next month. You guys want to mark that because I'm going to drop that, and I think I was going to do it at 12 a.m., so I'm going to be bougie, okay? So you're going to have to be up to get it first if you want to hear about it, all right? I'm not going to play with it. I know y'all waited for 3 years, and I'm super excited, but definitely follow me on Impact, the number 2 in the word success on Instagram and Twitter, as well as LinkedIn. And you can also follow me on Arthur Brown on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I would like for you guys to visit my website, Impact, the number 2 in the word success.org. You guys, that's where you'll learn about everything that I have to offer. You'll read more about my book, my podcast, music, services, masterclasses. That is what's coming soon. That is bigger than the book. I recommend you not even to touch the book and wait on somebody to talk and tell you the rest of the book and you to get these masterclasses, because these masterclasses, to me, this book is going to teach you. You're going, like I said, from page 1 to 40, you're going to lose your mind. You're going to look at your life and you'll realize, Lord, I need to do more. I don't want to hear it. I see one person you to use who had no business being in the kingdom like this. I have to stealing and crazy and all the drugs. I'm talking about, Lord. And then you're going to say to yourself, what can I do better? Because I saw what he did. And what I did was I wanted them to replay off of the, success from an iPhone and a new song and the gift of failure and all those things. I wanted you guys to see it in the master classes by being there virtually for 10 to 15 minutes. As you become a member on my website, you register with your name and email. I will go back in my back office and approve it. But these master classes are $597 for my entrepreneurs who are really seriously like, yo, I got the setup and I bought the website and I do my content and I market myself online, but I just don't know how to profit this and how to move the income here and how to do, where do I start and what's the thing and what do I do? That is what I clear up like one-on-one. I'm just talking about me, you, and if you got questions, write it down and you'll email me. But it's so nice. I designed it so cool. When you get inside and you go inside on that side of my website, it's super, super awesome. We filmed it in 2018. We're just now releasing it in 2020. So it's so much for you guys to really take advantage of. Just not getting this book for $25, that's great. So once you get to read, I want you to stay with me. I send you out, I think if you get my masterclass, it's a free copy that comes with it. You get a T-shirt, you get a sweater, and then I believe, I'm not sure what discount card came with it or whatever for my service, because I know entrepreneurs be shopping through my services like I don't know what. So it's like I wanted to make this thing of not just me and you talking and cordial and a good read and you going crazy, but let me build your brand. Let you be a partner in my membership in my organization, not just you being somebody who just comes and goes. So I really want to make it unique. I wanted to hook it up. So that's what's to come in 2020. That's hitting immediately after the book drops. So that's going to be like that April summers kind of sort of thing. But I'm excited because it's going to hit definitely soon. And I'm excited after the book launches on March 17th on my birthday. You guys be ready. It's such a great read.
All right. Well, we're definitely excited and we know you are excited. So, I definitely appreciate you taking some time out this evening to spend with me on the show. It has been phenomenal and you definitely provided some great golden nuggets. You were dropping them left and right. So for those who missed out tonight on this live show. You can absolutely go back and re-listen to it on our iHeartRadio platform or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Deezer Podcast Addict. We are on several different platforms. You have to go back and listen to this. And even if you listen to it now and you feel like you're still missing out, go back and listen to the rerun, because there's a lot more information that I'm sure that, we were talking about so much that you want to hear again. So, Author, I definitely appreciate you having come on to the show this evening. You have been a blessing as usual and a pleasure. Do you have the last word? You get 2 seconds. I'm gonna cut you down. Good. I'm gonna cut you down. All right. Any last words for the listeners?
Good. I'm good. I just want everybody to be blessed. If you want to, like I said, contact me. Impact the number 2 and the word success. And then if you like for any productions, it's gonna be Chase Purpose Productions. So you guys visit impact the number 2 and the word success.org for anything you guys need. Okay? Thank you. All
righty. Again, this evening, you just heard it live for the last hour. Mr. Arthur Brown, who is the author of Chase Purpose, Not Profit, and he is the owner of Impact Success. And, hey, like I said, if you missed out on this, you definitely need to go back and listen to the rerun. But again, I appreciate you all taking the time to tune into the show this evening. If you are interested in being a guest on my show, all you have to do is send me a simple short bio, a cover of your book, and a professional picture. And you want to send that to KimberlyMMclemore@gmail.com. But let me tell you, 2020 is already full. So look into 2021 with me. I always rock and roll early on that. So if you're definitely interested, these shows, are taken up very quickly. So if you want to be a guest, let me know. Please send your information to me. And like I said, please listen to us on all of our amazing new social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter as well, Instagram. And like I said, all our other listening platforms. We're here once a month. The show comes out. But, until next time, you all have an amazing, good rest of the evening. And we'll see you soon. Good night.
Good night, everyone, and thank you for tuning in tonight. We'll be back next month on Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with 2 more amazing guests. Follow us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at author Kimberly McLemore. Music by Audionautics.com.